What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, and today, just a second. Today we're gonna talk about two awesome little amplifiers that are fighting each other. The Mini Studio Marshall Plexi 20 watts and the PRS HDRX 20, that are basically two little Marshall Plexis, right? Maybe you know them, maybe you don't. Just a quick intro. I think you know what a Marshall Plexi is, so I don't want to be too talkative. Is that a word? Maybe not. About that, so I don't want to speak too much about that because there are millions of videos about that. Anyway, in recent years, 20 watts amplifiers became really popular. So Marshall introduced the 20 watt version of his Plexi amp. You can buy the 50 watt, the 100 watt, also the JTM 45. It's a little bit different, more it's less gainy, let's say that. It's more like a Fender Bassman, something like that. But amplifiers that are really famous because you heard them in maybe your favorite hard rock and blues records of all time, like Hendrix used them, Jimmy Page, Richie Blackmore, Yngwie Malmsteen, Eddie Van Halen, Steve Vai, with the Jose Redondo modes and stuff like that. So it's a really famous amplifier, and it has a lot of different sound that you can take. You can have with the Plexi amp. So in the recent years, as I was saying before, Marshall introduced the 20 watt versions because people were into it for some reason. And now we have also the PRS version. I mean, it's not now, it's been out for quite a while, but today we have both, so we can compare them and see which one is the best one. If there's one that's the best one, or maybe there's just different, or maybe they're the same. Let's find out. But first, I think that I don't want to say myself, but this shirt deserves a like and maybe a subscription to my channel for free, of course. It's shirt time because it's so hot here that shirts is the only thing that keep me, a little bit fresh. Anyway, sorry, I'm the usual idiot. Anyway, this little introduction, with this Yngwie Malmsteen. This is a made in Japan Yngwie Malmsteen signature model. I love this guitar so much, but it's so Yngwie that I don't want to use that much because then I can, I lose myself into that kind of stuff. And actually, when I unboxed this thing, I suddenly turned all the knobs, to 10, except for the bass that are like, 0 now. And also the normal channel, I don't use that. I put the Soul Food boost in it, the Malmsteen Strat, and I got lost because let me tell you this amp is so fun. It's really fun. The feeling and the response, it's just like, I don't know, it seems like to be Yngwie for real, like in the room. It's so fun, I'm telling you, and so I couldn't stop playing. And what about my setup? Well, my setup is guitar, cable, cloth cable, by the way, awesome cables. Reactive load that you can see here. I'm using the Fractal Audio X load into the Torpedo 2 notes cab amp in order to have an IR, a dyne IR, to be more exact, and then my effects. Before the amp, I use the Soul Food, okay, as an overdrive, and after the IR thing, I use the Strymon Flint, okay, with these settings. It's more like early Ingvar stuff, so I love it. But I think it's wiser to start off with more normal Strat. I'm using my Player 2 Strat by Fender, that it's a more of a traditional type of guitar, so we can start listening to the cleaner sound, even if I'm telling you guys, don't buy these amps if you're into super pristine clean tones. Otherwise, I think you can be a little disappointed, okay? Oh, just I wanted to mention that, of course, this video is made in collaboration with strumentimusicali.net, that you are supposed to be there, the logo, so you can check out all the prices and availability on their website, and if you're in Europe, for example, you can buy from them. Anyway, let's start, with something more normal, and we will put all the knobs at at noon, except for the normal channel. If you don't know why I have this patch cable here, it's because I think you know that, but I'm telling you, because it's also always nice to explain things. I think this amp is a single channel amplifier with two voices, let's say that. Yeah, there are two channels, but it's a single channel. It's not switchable, it's the single channel, but you have two, let's say, voices, all right? And you can connect these two channels, okay? The bright one and the normal one that is more bassy, and you connect them with the patch cable, and you jumped these inputs, so you will get what it's called a jumped Plexi amplifier, okay? And as a result, you will have blendable mix between the two channels. I usually play just with the with the bright, the number one channel, this one, the high treble, because I like it better. But if you want, you can blend in also the other one to have more bass, and I will demonstrate that in a minute. Anyway, let's start with the volume at 2, okay? And with the volume at 2, you already have it's already gainy, okay? It's not super clean if I'm playing a little bit hard. And I can tell that the amp is not properly working, so for me, we have to play at least at 2/4 at the volume knob. Yeah, now I can feel that everything is, it's more proper. It's a nice clean tone, but it's not super clean, right? Because if I'm playing harder. What's with my British accent today? I don't know. Harder. And because the Marshall is British, maybe that's why. So this is not properly a clean channel, am I right? So you have to consider that. But it has a lot of personality. So I think this sound it's super nice with the Strat. Oops. With the intermediate position here. sometimes I miss the right note. All right, it's a nice tone to me. If I want to blend in the normal channel, I will get more bass. That, to be honest, if I want to play nice spread triad, if I want to play with the Strat, that's probably a nice choice, okay, to blend some of that extra bass, okay, to have a more full and creamy tone. Nice. What's not to like about this tone? It's really, really nice and it feels good. It's the feeling of this amp is nice. It's rewarding, at least to me. With this little bit of reverb, I can play with this amp for hours, and I actually did. And I got late, with the video schedule and stuff, because it's nice to play. If I turn the loudness of the high treble channel even more, you will get more distorted, like before, right? So we are into that Deep Purple type of territoire. Something like that, right? It's classic. It's a classic. What's not to like? Let's change the guitar. Let's try with the humbucker. With these old guitar of mine that, I haven't used in a while. Super nice EVH striped series. I made all these modifications. So I have a super distortion here, the Puff Pro, the FS1. I didn't make it myself, I brought it to my guy. He did it, and it was my main guitar for years. I'm particularly bond with this guitar. It's super nice. Anyway, I suddenly hear too much bass, and it's a little bit woolly and woofy, this tone. And this is a thing that it's kind of weird, because usually we associate jumped Plexi with Eddie, okay, with Eddie Van Halen, but to me this sound, it's not really Van Halen-ish. Also because the speaker is different. I used an IR of 4x12 by Bogner with Celestion Greenback, but it's not the same cabinet that Eddie used for sure. Anyway, if I want to go into that direction to be like a little bit more bitey, I will turn down the normal channel at all. I will pump up the high treble channel, treble to the max, middle to the max, presence to the max, and bass. Well, let's leave it there and then we'll see. Way better, don't you think? Way better. Maybe even let's try to keep the bass at 0. I like the super tight bass, like this one. Not bad, right? it's more in the ballpark. It's still too mid-rangey, too much bass. Maybe it's just like an IR type of thing, but I can work with that. And you know, this amp is so much fun. You heard kind of like Ingvar type of tones, then Hendrixy type of tones, then Deep Purple-ish type of tone, Van Halen-ish type of tones. You know, just it's such a fun little amp. Am I right? Now, be aware that I used my effects after the IR. If you want to use the effect loop and everything, I have bad news for you, because I think that will get a little bit messy. I haven't tried that, but considering that I'm pushing the amp to the max, the power amp it's distorting. So if you're putting a reverb or delay into the effects loop, they will get distorted. So it's not the best choice, you know. If you want to use that live, if you want to use a reverb and a delay live, you should go in a different direction. For example, with the Boss Tube Watts expander, that it has effects incorporated, and you will hear them, you know, after you re-amp the amp. Or Frayet Power Station, it has, you know, the effects loop and everything, so you can add the effects after you turn the power amp signal into line signal, then you will reamp it. Like in the old days, actually, it's not like a new thing. It is the way it is. If you want to have that Marshall type of tone, it's power amp distortion as well, right? So, you know, there's not much you can do about it. Anyway, you have also like a low and high, you know, power here if you want to. Maybe you're playing with a real cab in a studio and you want to have a little bit more gain at your disposal, but I don't know, it's gonna be loud, okay? So that's a thing that you should consider. I think that in a studio environment, a situation, the reactive load option, it's really nice, because you can hear the amp, you know, in a proper way, especially if you want to listen to the distorted type. If you want to play with, you know, the distorted type of tone. With the clean ones, you can work with that, but if you want to make the amp roar, I think that, you know, the reactive lobe is kind of the choice to make. And to me, I mean, I use the first reactive lobe that I used was the Torpedo Captor. It's been with me like for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, something like that. I loved it so much. Now I'm using the Fractal because I wanted to change. I wanted to also have a different sound. You know, the impedance curve is different, so it's a lot of nerd stuff. But if you haven't tried a proper setup with a reactive load, the IR, your effects that you can also load in Logic or whatever DAW you can use, and you know, with a couple of studio monitors, it's a nice experience. It's really nice way to experience, you know, your amp guitar tone. That's my opinion. Maybe yours can differ, but if you don't have the chance to, you know, have like a loud noises in your environment, consider that. Anyway, let's switch to the PRS. Okay, the PRS doesn't have the standby switch, so you know it's in automatic mode, let's say, and it doesn't have the 4 input like the Marshall. So the 2 channels are internally jumped, so you don't have to buy patch cables and stuff, and it's gonna be the same. Okay, so you can have the treble and the bass volume, and you can, you know, adjust them in a really similar fashion. So let's start with all the knobs except for the bass volume at noon, pretty much. So we will with the treble volume to 2, like to hear the clean tone here as well as we did for the Marshall. And this amp actually is made inspired by the circuit of of Jimi Hendrix's original amplifier. So for what I understood, Mr. Paul Reed Smith and some other engineer, they studied this Hendrix amplifier, and they came out with the 50 watt and 100 watt version made by PRS, kind of expensive amps made in USA. And then they wanted to scale it down to a 20 watt version, in order to compete with the Marshall one, I guess. It's not made in USA, this one. It's made in where is it made? I can't remember. Right? I know it's Asia, but I can't remember the country. So, consider that if you think that for you it's important. And it's a 20 watt version, as I said before. And what else? Nothing. It sounds good. Yeah, has two switches, a bright switch here that for me it's just an always on thing, because otherwise it will be too dark. Okay, this is clean tone. Super nice. Without the bright switch, it's too dark to my taste. So let's, keep it to the on position. And then the switch here that it doesn't do that much to my taste. It's there, and later maybe I will let you hear what it does, if you can hear a difference. So suddenly we can listen to that the sound is bigger. Compared to the Marshall, it has more headroom, definitely, okay? And it has more clean. Clean headroom, okay? Then if we turn the treble volume a little bit further, it starts to break up really nicely, okay? And you can tell that the sound is wider, am I right? And then I can turn off on the bass volume as well, if we want to have. Maybe even too much, right? Let's move it backwards a little bit. Not that I feel the need of that, actually. Just the treble channel to me, it's nice. Maybe just a tiny bit. Okay, too romantic. Okay, but it's nice, and to me, this is where this amp really shine. With these type of breakup type of tones, with clean ones, it's really nice. It's fuller actually than the Marshall. But later we're gonna listen to them back to back. But okay, you have a little bit of an idea. And then let's turn the treble a little bit more, like the treble volume, of course. As I said before, it does a nice impression of that type of tone, right? Sorry for the reverb, but without the reverb, it's so dry that, you know, it's already hot in here and it makes me thirsty. It's so dry that it feels like to be in the desert. The desert. So, you know, a little bit of a different soul and vibe, but the thing is that if I'm going to use an humbucker like this one, the super distortion, and you know, let's max out the gain and let's turn down the bass and maybe, you know, like before. It's super nice, super crunchy and rock and everything, but feeling wise, I like the Marshall better. It's just, you know, I don't know, it's more familiar to me. This one, it's definitely Plexi-ish, but to my taste, my personal taste, I like the Marshall better in the distorted type of area, you know, pushed and stuff like that. Also with the Ingve Malmsteen, you know, and with the Malmsteen Strat and the soul food, definitely I like the Marshall better, you know. But I made a little bit of a comparison between the two, so we can find out which one you like better. Okay, let's hear these samples with Logic. The first is the Marshall. And then listen to the PRS. Okay, the volume is different even if I put them at the same volume, but as I said before, the Porter Smith amp does have more headroom and it has more balls, basically. There's not right or wrong. The Marshall to me sounds a little bit more vintagey and the PRS more hi-fi, if that's a thing. PRS, you know, it's a wider type of tone. Let me know which one you like better. I like them both actually, so you know, it's just a matter of preferences. Let's hear the second sample. And then Porter Smith. Way bigger, you know, more high ends, more treble. The Marshall is way more mid-rangey. Again, it's a thing that maybe you like or not. To me, it sounds more like an old record, like the Marshall. I don't know, maybe it's a placebo effect, I don't know. Or Deep Purple effect. The Porter Smith is more like 3D, you know, it's less polished, maybe more hi-fi but less polished. The Marshall, I don't know, seems like to be recorded in an old studio tape. I don't know, maybe it's just like mid-range and that's it, but again, it's a matter of preference, it's a matter of taste. this sample, I also use the Strymon Mobius for a phasing effect before the amp. And forgive me, but I can't remember if I just used the amp or the soul food. I think I just used the amp and that's it for this sample, with the AVH guitar, of course. And then Porosmith guitar, Porosmith amp. It's nice, but listening to it, it's a little bit more stiff and less forgiving, maybe. So for this type of tones, feeling-wise, I like the Marshall better as a player, okay? And then the last one, sorry, this one I forgot I lost the Marshall tone. So the last tone. Yngwie Malmsteen Strat with the soul food, okay? This is the Marshall. Again. And for this Malmsteen type of tone, again, I like the Marshall better. You know, this mid-rangey type of stuff, I think it's more suitable for that thing. So, you know, for me, I like the clean tone of the PRS better, but for the crunchy, distorted type of tone, especially with higher gain, I like the Marshall better. It's my personal preference, and it's not, you know, the truth or anything, so let me know your opinion about that. So, guys, which one of these two amplifiers you like the best? You like the better? To me, they are really similar, but with a different type of soul. One thing that I didn't mention before is that you have a master volume here, you know, and oh, also, yeah, I forgot these. Doesn't do that much, right? It's just a little bit. Off, on, doesn't do that much. Also, you know, with less gain, same story. On, off, it's pretty much the same, right, that switch. So you have the master volume, so you can, you know, have a little bit of more of gain tone, you know, at lower volume, but I don't know if you really need that, because actually the amp, you know, it's maybe, you know, with a big cab and everything, maybe you will need that. I don't know. You don't have that option on the Marshall, so it's nice thing to have actually, but you know, that's your call. Anyway, I hope, guys, that you enjoyed my little video. Sorry, there are bells ringing because we're in Italy and we always have a church nearby, and you know, they always make a lot of noise, and I'm not gonna cut this part of the video, so you will enjoy the Italian, you know, style of living with bells all the time. Bow, bow. Sorry for that. Anyway, let me know which one you like the better. My personal preference goes to the Marshall, but just because I'm such a fan of Yngwie and Eddie, and in that area, I think it performs a little bit better feeling-wise. But if you're more into, I mean, I love Hendrix too, but you know, if you're into more of a Hendrixy type of vibe, maybe this one, you know, the PRS, it's a little bit better because you have a little bit more headroom, you know, the sound will be a little bit bigger, but that's your call. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and consider subscribe to my channel and leave a like to help me out, you know, with the YouTube algorithm. We also have dogs. Ciao ragazzi, see you next time. Ciao.